Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 4 of Kings and Generals, where today we're going to be talking about Veggy v Granolah Round 2. Yes, we are filming this on Wednesday, August 18th, so the new manga chapter just dropped. I am General Blue.
And I am King Cold. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, although I'm sure the community's feeling kind of interested in, well, where the chapters are going to go from here.
Yeah, it's... I gotta say, I think last month's chapter was better. I think it was a better chapter. I don't like how Vegeta was acting in this chapter, and I don't like how he fought. It was really strange. He was doing what I call the, what I would call like the just brute force. Don't dodge, just keep brute forcing and you'll hit them eventually strategy. Bang your head off the brick wall hard enough. And it's really weird because the chapter starts mid-action, right? Let me pull this up. Yeah, it starts mid-action immediately where it left off from last month. And I gotta say, this new form is not growing on me. At first I liked it, but now I'm kind of iffy on it. I don't like it's I think it's just because it's in the manga colors where it's just black and white, so it just looks like his base form with no eyebrows.
True.
Yeah, like I'm going through the chapter right now, and I think the way the manga is framed is a little better. I'm not very good at judging if it's good or not. I've seen people say it's framed badly, but I can't really judge that. But I do like seeing Granolah on the back foot so far. This is the second time he's been on the back foot against Goku and Vegeta, where full power Ultra Instinct was more than able to overpower Granolah's that illusion he made. The illusion actually lost that fight too. And now we have Vegeta kind of wrecking shit on Granolah. What is interesting, I think, is the dialogue, because he's saying like things about how his soul burns for battle and he grows stronger. So is he thinking about fighting and grow stronger from it? Is that how that works?
It definitely seemed as though Vegeta was largely getting drunk off of the power that his new form gave him, and I don't know... I was getting a few vibes to way back in the early Android saga where he was battling Android 18, and even though he was taking damage, he still felt so invigorated by the form that he was just kind of plowing through and assuming his power could guide him through the fight. Now, I don't know if this is a similar case with Toppo, having the God of Destruction energy back in the Tournament of Power. I assume that to some extent it's like the same idea in the transformation, and how that will allude to the future, we don't quite know yet. But yeah, Vegeta was definitely tanking his way through it and just kind of expecting the attacks to go one way. He was definitely provoking Granolah a lot more than he usually would against an opponent. I wouldn't say more, actually, just in a different way. Like, I think I mentioned this before.
Like that. I liked how he's been talking down, taunting Granolah. I actually like when Vegeta does that. I know there's people who don't, but continue. I did cut you off. That's my bad.
It's fine. Now, I mentioned, I believe, when the last chapter came out, that it kind of gave me a reminder of how... Well, it reminded me of two things, in a way. One, it reminded me of his confrontation with Kaba in the original U6 tournament, how he was, like, intentionally saying that he would destroy everything Kaba holds dear in a way to try and awaken his power and make him into a real warrior. But that was more just trying to get some pride into his different universe counterpart, whereas Granolah... By all accounts, Granolah considers this a life-or-death fight, and we're meant to believe Goku and Vegeta think the same, even though they've definitely gotten the vibe that they've been bamboozled by the Heeters at this point. But to another extent, it's also giving me vibes of Trunks' fight against Cell right after Cell reached his perfect form. Now, in both scenarios, Granolah and Trunks, the world around them was completely destroyed, and they have a sense of justice and revenge where they want to get back at anyone even remotely connected to it. For Trunks, it was the previous timeline androids, even though he wasn't aware that they weren't evil like the ones from his time, and with Granolah, it's any living Saiyans, even though Goku and Vegeta had basically no involvement with this process. The only difference being, though, well, in both scenarios, Trunks and Granolah, they think that just a power-up can get them through it, but Trunks is unable to measure up to Cell. Cell is able to outspeed him and conserve his energy monumentally better. But in this case, well, this is just kind of an arms race of different power-ups where Granolah and Veggie are back and forthing a lot more.
Yeah, so I agree. What's interesting, like, what's weird is that I find the dialogue more interesting than the fight. Like, it's not that the fight's badly choreographed or anything. It's just I'm a junkie for the anime, and I prefer my Dragon Ball animated. But what's interesting, he's being super boastful, and there's this, I think it's page 12. It says 12 of 30 on Facebook. So, Granolah's talking to himself, and he's like, oh, he's entirely different. What's the god of destruction? And Vegeta tells him about it. And Granolah actually asks, he's like, oh, this power is granted. And then Vegeta's like, hell no. This power is my own. And I like this idea that Vegeta achieved this on his own. Or at least, this power was within him, because that's kind of how Ultra Instinct worked for Goku. So it's nice to see confirmation that Vegeta's hard work is paying off. But I don't like how it's being portrayed, though, because he's just tanking blows, and it's really weird, because, I don't... Because Vegeta, I don't think Vegeta's going to win this fight, or at least win this chapter, because the fight just started. And there's still the plot thread with the Heeters, which comes into later for this arc. What's interesting too is Granolah removes his goggle thing. It's like because they're actually talking about planet Vegeta being destroyed, and Vegeta tells him that Frieza right here, the Saiyan tribe is yet another push to the brink of extinction by Frieza. And what's funny is I don't think Granolah believes him. Because his little headband is like, hey, this contradicts what you were told. And he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. I need my revenge. I have to have this. And that aspect of Granolah, I really like. I really like that aspect a lot, because I think it makes it just shows like his blind hatred for the Saiyans, and I think that's like a parallel to some other character. Zamasu, that's who I'm thinking of. It's like a parallel to Zamasu with the mortals, kind of, where, Zamasu just fucking hated these mortals, and Granola's doing the same to just remove the Saiyans out of the universe. I think that's actually, when you think about it, it's pretty interesting.
It definitely seems as though Granolah, like, he might be having doubts in regards to what the Saiyans did for Frieza and whether or not Goku and Vegeta are working for them. But as far as he's concerned, his biggest priority right now is just winning and trying to beat them by any means necessary. And this is getting ahead a little bit, but I know there was that part toward the end of the chapter where he started, like, levitating the buildings and ripping apart the ruins. Vegeta was basically mocking him, saying that he was destroying the culture of his people, what little remnants were left. And what I'm thinking is going to happen is, like, Granolah is kind of talking back, saying, well, like, how he's getting strong enough to control the power now, enough to just outmuscle Vegeta. But if he destroys like every piece of his civilization on the planet, or he destroys his little AI companion thing that he removed, or if the Namekian guy that raised him ends up getting hit by debris, you know, is that going to cause like some kind of... That might just cause, I don't want to say cop-out moment, but basically it'll end the fight without conclusion because he realizes that he made these mistakes himself.
Interesting. Yeah. You're right, because Vegeta's talking about how he's destroying the old Frosted Flakes people, excuse me, the cereal people's city during the fight. And he's like, oh, do you not care? So I think that doubt that you're talking about might actually... I hate that we have to wait a month for this too, because I want the answer now. It's like, I want it now. So does Vegeta still have the Senzu Bean? Didn't they have Senzu Beans at the beginning of this arc?
Yes. After he did the Robin Hood Men in Tights style miracle curve shot into Goku's back, they gave Goku a Senzu Bean right away, and then Vegeta should still have the one with him. Goku is getting up from the previous fight, like he's up off the ground now, and he might try to join back in momentarily, but he did not take a Senzu Bean within the last 2 chapters.
Alright. So, yeah, because What I find interesting, too, is his little goggle seems to be sentient, or at least an AI, and it picks itself up with the ship. And Vegeta... What's funny, too, is the fight between Vegeta and Granola's kind of brutal, actually. They're, like, really hammering each other.
Yeah, they're in each other's faces a lot. It's mostly, at least in this chapter, it was mostly physical confrontation, up until, like, the very end.
Yeah, I gotta say... excuse me. Compared to, like, the Turn of Power, or, like, the Goku Black arc, this is definitely a pretty brutal fight. There's a... Like, we do get blood in the Dragon Ball Super manga pretty often, compared to the anime, but there's definitely a lot more of it here on Vegeta. And he's even, like, talking about how excited he is from this fight. So that's... to me, that's just pretty cool. What I wonder... So I got some theories that I'm going to run by. So you know how Goku with Ultra Instinct, he was able to stack blue on top of it temporarily, but he lacked the training?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see anything like that for this God of Destruction form for Vegeta, since it's an instinct thing as well? Or do you think not? Okay.
If Ultra Instinct is able to do it, they would have to specifically explain whether or not Vegeta couldn't do it. So it's definitely possible, but at the same time, that would feel kind of lame if they just introduce a new form and then almost immediately have to buff it up somewhat to make it viable again. Like, that'd be kind of like if in the Buu saga, as soon as Gohan became Mystic, when Buu would have absorbed Gotenks and Piccolo, if Gohan's like, oh yeah, well I can stack Super Saiyan onto it as well, then was that really like a needed power-up? You know, it's just kind of a weird feeling if they were to do that.
Okay, yeah, you know what, I can agree with that, because I have a bias for Super Saiyan Blue Evolved. It's like one of my favorite forms, just because it was like Vegeta's a unique Vegeta form and a blue form, which I was like, yes to. I doubt we're never gonna see it again. We're probably gonna see it pretty often. The Super Saiyan Blue Ultra Instinct thing is something I hope to see more, because I think that would be awesome. And there was a recent interview where they were talking about that Goku still has room to grow compared to Beerus, so I think that might come into play later in this arc for training. People are saying this arc's really predictable. I kind of disagree with that, because I don't think we've seen a character who had a revenge plot against Saiyans besides Baby. Baby kind of just took over the Earth and then just lost after. Where Granolah is doing it in, you know, he wants to kill the Saiyans permanently. Where Baby was kind of just mind controlling them with his weird egg power. I forget what he does, because I know he like enters your bloodstream and controls your mind. But I do like that Granola's like willing to get his own hands dirty and like fight the Saiyans to the death if he has to, just to avenge his people.
Yeah, Granolah is also second-guessing himself a little bit, whereas Baby just figured anyone who's even remotely associated with the Saiyans should have to suffer, because that's just what Dr. Mew made him think as he was being, like... Would I say incubated for him? Created, I guess. As he was being created, Dr. Mew just gave him, like, the one objective, kill everything related to Saiyans.
Yeah, that's... Sorry, I just dropped my phone. Yeah, that is true. So one thing I didn't want to talk about last week that I didn't convey well. So I'm seeing it now with this art, with this chapter today, in the Dragon Ball groups I'm in. So I actually want to run this by some thought. Is people are complaining about how Super introduces a form and then it always loses, and I'm thinking to myself, here, I think that's always been a thing though in Dragon Ball. Not, see, Super, like, Goku on Namek, he didn't lose to Frieza instantly, you know? He, in Super Saiyan, he actually, I think that's one of the few fights where they had a new form where they basically had Goku dominate for the entire time. But I would say the forms after everything, like, I would say maybe Gohan going, what's it called? Going Super Saiyan 2 against Cell and winning was another example of the new form actually overpowering the enemy and, you know, winning the day. But if you look back on like the Buu arc, and I think the Buu arc is where a lot of this problem comes from, we have Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Mystic Gohan, and Super Vegeta, right? That's like 1, 2, 3, like 4 different forms and characters. Oh, these new forms, and none of them actually. Oh, and Majin Vegeta. My bad, forgot about Majin Vegeta. And none of the characters in that arc actually get the big W. They're all cool to see. It's nice to see Majin Vegeta, Vegito, all those characters. They're pretty beloved these days. But none of them win the fight. And everyone's fine with that. Everyone's like, oh, this is fine here. But when you go to Super, people constantly complain about the God forms not instantly winning fights. And that's to me, that's a little confusing. Because, like, even in GT, when Goku got Super Saiyan 4, yes, he was on the upper hand for a while, but he didn't just instantly beat Baby. He still needed a lot of assistance. And for Super 17... every main villain, basically, he needed assistance to win as well. And I wonder why I don't know why people complain about it so much in the case of Super. I really couldn't put my finger on it. If you have any idea, just, let me know.
I think that one of people's problems with Super is just, like, when Battle of Gods first came out, I don't know if it was just the marketing or the way it was translated or just misinterpretation, but people were led to believe that the God forms and God Ki were like a higher plane of existence beyond regular power levels. And then when Revival of Frieza came out, people kind of just immediately assumed that Frieza also had God Ki, because how else would he be able to keep up with them at this point? But then by the time we got to Universe 6, and we have, hey, here's this guy who's just a regular assassin with cool power, and he can absolutely clap these guys. That's pretty much the point where everyone was like, what's the point of making it a god form if it's not impervious to anything? Even though, mind you, there's like more characters in Dragon Ball with the title of God in their name than there are Saiyans who can reach Super Saiyan 1, honestly.
Yeah, that is true, because I did want to talk about this last week on the Saiyan marketing, but I didn't know how to articulate it well, and I was trying to say it in the last episode. And in this new chapter, pretty much let me think about it more. I don't think it's a bad thing Vegeta got this God of Destruction form. You can argue that it's pandering to fans, that it's super pandering to the fans who wanted God of Destruction Vegeta. Sure, you can make that argument. Do I personally agree? I'd say, yeah, a little bit, but I don't think they're going to have this form show up once and never appear again. We're probably going to see this form multiple times throughout Super, or probably throughout this arc. But, you know, if Vegeta would have just transformed into the God of Destruction Vegeta and then just beat Granolah, what would happen with the story? Because there's still plot threads that need to be resolved. The stuff with the Heeters, with whatever I forgot their names. They're all like really silly names, so it's hard for me to remember them. Gas, I think, is one of them, and stuff, or like whoever their head honcho is, because they're looking for the Dragon Balls to replace Frieza, and they have the Dragon Radar now. We see them with that at the end of the episode. That's a pretty interesting thing, because I don't think we've seen a enemy character use the Dragon Balls against the main cast. I mean, the Dragon Radar against the main cast before.
The closest we've got were the non-canon movies, and even then, they just kind of used that for personal, more vanity reasons. I guess Garlic Jr. technically used it against the heroes because he made himself immortal, but then he did the one thing that could let himself get beaten anyway, so who cares?
Oh, I forgot about that, how silly that was. Yeah, no, you're right, though, on that one. Because, did Baby use the Dragon Balls?
Hey, who was that you said?
Did Baby use the Dragon Balls? I don't...
Yes,
I'm gonna Google that.
He used the Black Star Dragon Balls to make, like, another planet outside of Earth, which was supposed to be the new planet Tuffle, whatever you call it.
Tuffle, yeah.
And...
Okay.
The weirdest thing about that, though, this is somewhat off topic, we can go into it later, but, like, instead of accelerating the countdown for when the Black Star energy would destroy the Earth, it, like, reset the countdown. I know they explain that technically in GT, but the rules of it are kind of weird.
Yeah, I'll probably go... Don't quote me, but maybe I'll go back and look on it. I don't care too much, though, because it's like, it's just the Black Star balls that were... Piccolo committed suicide to remove. I didn't like the Black Star balls, but I do like the Heeters using the Dragon Radar to find the Dragon Balls, because I think they're looking for the two tiny ones on the planet. And then it makes... Oh, Moro used the Manic Dragon Balls too, so I'm actually way wrong on this. This is not, like, the first time we've seen it, it's just the first time the Dragon Radar has been used against them. Okay, yeah, so I was way wrong on that. Sorry. Makes me wonder what the heck the Heeters gonna wish for, because I think they'll wish for them to be stronger than Frieza. That's weird.
I don't know if they'll wish themselves to be stronger, because they probably... I don't think Granolah mentioned what his weakness was to them, but they at least know that he had to sacrifice something for it, so maybe they'll wish for something to try and get an edge over Frieza, or to rule the universe in some capacity, but I don't really know what exactly they would do. Maybe they'll wish that Granolah just immediately knows Frieza's location and beelines for him. I don't know.
Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, unfortunately. But because the concept of overthrowing Frieza of the Universal Emperor is really interesting. Because I don't think people really thought about that. You know, Frieza rules the universe. He was the ruler of the universe for a long time before Goku showed up. He was dead for a while and came back twice. He still rules the universe. People still cower under his name. So it's just like, we'll see what happens. I do hope Frieza makes an appearance in this arc soon, because they've been name dropping him so much, and I just want to see the best character in the show reappear.
I mean, it would be very strange if he didn't. Yeah.
Oh, he might actually contribute something to defeat Granolah and the Heeters. But I think that's my main broad strokes of what I wanted to talk about for this new arc. You got anything else to add for it?
Yeah, I think that... Well, sort of going off what you were saying before, about how we might see the blue form merged in with Vegeta's new form, the same way that Goku merged his god powers with Ultra Instinct. That kind of does relate to what we were talking about last week with some of the Saiyan branch-offs that we saw during the Cell Saga. Like, whereas Super Vegeta was an extension of the Super Saiyan form, but not quite on the level of Super Saiyan 2, and whereas Goku just prioritized controlling his form so that he used the least amount of energy possible and was still able to maximize speed, it definitely feels like that's kind of the direction they're going in now, where Vegeta can tank more hits, but isn't quite as... like, his lust for battle is still getting to him. So there is a mirror in that sense. And another issue I'm seeing... I guess that what I sort of predicted the last time around was right, where Vegeta was gonna boast that he might try to destroy part of the planet to agitate Granolah. Because he did kind of do that with his energy blast toward the end, but that was more a desperation move because Vegeta had started losing at that point. It wasn't just to try and drive something out of him like I was anticipating.
Yeah.
And then on that, I guess just how Granolah was able to kind of quickly surpass it seemed a little nonsensical when he was losing the fight just a few minutes ago. It's just, he used some secret power his people have, and now he's able to out-muscle Vegeta, too.
Yeah, you know, the fucking Sharingan he has. I think, okay, so, I'm not gonna say it was an ass pull for Granolah, because we actually don't know his entire character set yet, or what his powers are. So you can argue, well, we just didn't know he could develop it into both of his eyes. So I think the eye thing is just, it helps him attack you vitally better or something like that, and like makes his moves more precise. So saying that he can't have it in more than one eye would be silly, because I don't think they said, oh, you can only have it in one way or another. So
I mean, yeah, he would just be like advanced in his race if he had it in both eyes. It's not impossible. It's just, you know, it's a writer's convenience to do it that way.
Well, yeah, I think it's better to just have it to where he just gets strong, where he also surpassed himself to get stronger in the fight than just writing a rule previously and then having to contradict it, something Dragon Ball has done before. Vegito. Sorry, I had a thing in my throat.
Yeah, they definitely can do that just to keep tension. They will do that.
Yeah, that's something that they did with like Super Saiyan 4 a lot. Was like, he would do like this one-off power, like oh, I can absorb the energy of others and make it stronger. And it's like, okay, but how are you doing that? You know, where Granolah, I think it's just he happens to have it in both eyes. Okay, cool. We don't need a further explanation, and makes me wonder if they just threw sand in his eyes. You think he'd be like, my power?
Probably, yeah. So we need to edit Pocket Sand against him then.
Yeah, how to beat Granolah, just have some Pocket Sand. One thing I will say is, people are saying he's a bad villain. I don't think he's the main antagonist. He feels like a side antagonist to me. Because I feel like the Heats are going to become the main antagonist soon.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that Bojack Dreadlock is going to start taking over pretty soon.
Makes me wish it was just a repurposed Bojack, to be honest.
I mean, it basically is. It's like the same character design. It's just they gave everybody dreadlocks.
Yeah. But, because the thing is, too, is Granola's wish and stuff might be, like, where he's aging, what if... There's a lot of things that can still happen that we probably aren't thinking of or predicting. That's why I get a little annoyed when people say, oh, this arc is so predictable. It's like the same people who said that the Moro arc was predictable, then they completely got blindsided by the fact that they gave a bunch of training arc to a huge training arc and an actual character arc to Goku. And Vegeta himself even had that philosophy debate with Moro about, I'm going to be going to hell no matter what. because I'm still a bad person deep down from what I've done. So who knows? Maybe we'll see more of that in the next few chapters. Just because, like, so far the super manga hasn't disappointed me, but it's definitely made. I think I've scratched my head and went, okay, I see what's happening here more for Super than I have for GT or Z, where GT and Z, because you can just go back and rewatch those anytime, had a little more straightforward stuff. Like the Cell arc was a little unpredictable first time watching, because Cell came out of nowhere, and that was super cool. And him having the tournament was also amazing.
Yeah, the Cell arc was great at, like, subtlety, that stuff that you would only notice later on.
Yeah, like, dude, I don't think anybody thought Gohan was going to be getting the big dub. First time watching, I remember first time watching, I was like, no way in hell it's going to be Gohan. And then it turned out to be Gohan, and I ate crow. Again, I was like, 13 when I watched the Cell arc on fucking 4Kids censored on Kai. And then I watched Kai Uncut, and I was like, oh yeah, this is way better.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh. I think... So there was, what's funny too is last night, since we're just talking about the Dragon Ball manga, some of the Dragon Ball Heroes manga dropped too, and I read it. It was really weird. I'm very glad that Super is not written in the same way Heroes is, because I would have had an aneurysm. So, a concept they're doing in Heroes is, because the manga is actually behind the anime, which is pretty funny, is Goku and Vegeta need to train. Right. What they're training for is beyond me. Probably just Ultra Instinct stuff and making Vegeta Super Saiyan, Blue Evolved, whatever, stronger. So in the manga, they choose to have Goku and Vegeta train with their alternate dimension counterparts, the Zeno, Goku, and Vegeta, while they're in their powered up Super Saiyan 4 state. And I was like, that's where the chapter ended on. I was like, this is going to be strange, because you can just hear the Super Saiyan Blue Force 4 debate screaming in the back of the head. But the few times I've had the both counterparts of Goku and Vegeta on screen, they've always seemed to be on par with each other. I don't think they've ever been significantly stronger than another. And Heroes does flip-flop a lot too. So I'm not gonna say like anything, but that I'm gonna touch back on later for a further Super Saiyan 4 vs. Blue debate, because I think how it will go in Heroes could be interesting, since it's not a mainline series. We might see things that wouldn't normally be done in like something like Super.
I haven't really been following the Heroes manga to like any extent, so I'm not exactly sure how that would go, but it seems like an interesting idea. Yeah, have them train with themselves in a way, so that they can, I guess, note their own habits and fight patterns and improve in that regard. But yeah, I feel like if the Super manga was written in that sense, might throw people for a bit of a loop.
I like Heroes. Heroes has done a lot of things I've liked, like just really cool action bits, cool what-if scenarios. But it still does something that Super can't do, and it's just, give us, just try to answer questions of the fan base that's a little weird. Like, I think we talked about, we definitely talked about this last time, where realistically, we're never going to get an answer from Super Saiyan 4 vs. Blue, because it's just good on marketing. Why would they risk the marketing? But in the Heroes manga, since it's not selling a toy or a card, it's just trying to tell the story of the game, I think we can actually have that to chew on in between the Super manga, which is fine. I'm not going to tell people to go read it, because it's really hard to find online. I have had a hell of a time finding it. A friend sent me a YouTube video of a dude who was very poorly reading it, and I was like, but that was the only way I was able to read it, so unfortunate. Oh, come here. I also think the Super manga is going to go on for a little while longer, because the new Broly movie, the new Super trailer movie leads me gives me some questions because you think it'll. I don't know if it'll tie into the Super manga, but there is going to be a time skip, and me personally, I think there's going to be a time skip in the Granolah arc for sure, or like by the end of it, they're going to be probably at the end of Z, because Granolah only has so many years left to live, and the characters that were 5 and 6 or whatever at the end of Z would be 3, maybe 2. And Granolah has like 2 years left to live or something like that. So that's just me being hopeful, though.
I mean, there's gonna be. I assume that there should be some kind of conclusion to this arc before the movie happens, because, okay, when the Broly movie did come out, like, even in U.S. theaters, that was a good 6 or 7 months before the actual English dub of the Tournament of Power ended, so, like, they're well aware that the international audiences are keeping up with the subtitle version in the manga chapters. They just want to mainly finish it so that people can see it, not necessarily everybody. But, yeah, I think there will be some kind of time skip. The only thing I kind of worry about, and I guess to a certain extent, they kind of need to for, like, the sake of... maybe for the sake of marketing, but also just for what they can do for future purposes, is in the same sense that Miras was supposed to vanish from existence in the Moro arc, but they brought him back as like a normal entity. I kind of worry if they're going to find some way to cheat out Granolah's shortened lifespan. I don't know how they would exactly, but they'd probably find a way.
Reuse the Dragon Balls. Easy. You know, that's the problem with Dragon Ball. You have magical witch orbs that can change anything, so... I hope Granolah doesn't. I didn't think about that. I really hope they don't do that to Granolah, because I would hope he actually pays for his actions wrongly attacking Goku and Vegeta and trying to kill them for things that they weren't even a part of. I think Vegeta last chapter mentioned that he was like a baby when his planet got sieged. He's like, dude, I was a kid. Like, I had nothing to do with this.
I mean, if Granolah's able to take out Frieza, or even just take out the Heeters, then, like, at least he can go in peace, knowing that he did something good for the rest of the universe.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, dude, I doubt they would remove Frieza from the story, or, like, kill him off, because...
They probably wouldn't, but, I mean, that would be, like, that would be the thing that completes his arc, technically.
Yeah. Dude, that's my kid you're talking about. King Cole joke. No, I think it's just that Frieza's way too popular now. Like, I know people who used to hate Frieza, but then the Tournament of Power, they were like, oh, this character's actually awesome. I'm like, yeah, he's always been like that.
Oh, since we are talking about Frieza, that does bring me to one other thing that I wanted to mention, and I think that the idea of Granolah being able to overpower Vegeta's, like, big energy ball at the end of this chapter, that would have had a lot more weight if Frieza didn't just effortlessly tank that bit of Hakai energy from right before the tournament, because leading up to the Tournament of Power, when they're at Fortune Teller Baba's place, they send some assassins, like a bunch of grunts from, what was it, Universe 3 or 4, and the God of Destruction from that universe gave one of the fighters a bit of Hakai energy, and then they hide it in the water, and they hit Frieza with it, but he's able to endure it, and he's like, hey, well, I can do this now, so I can do it when Toppo does it as well. But he couldn't. He still held it off okay. It didn't kill him or destroy him or anything, it just damaged him. So, I feel like if they hadn't done those, maybe this might have had a bit more weight, but I guess they gotta be cinematic.
Well, what's weird with... and this is just a problem that Dragon Ball has that bleeds in the Super really hard, is they will introduce a power and not explain it well, or just kind of leave it vague. Like, what does Hakai energy do? It removes things from existence, or it destroys things, right? It's different from normal ki. When Toppo was in his God of Destruction form, ki blasts didn't work on him. They were nullified. But that's not happening with Vegeta. That's, like, different now. So is Vegeta weaker? Is his form not as realized as Toppo's? Is Toppo just more trained in the God of Destruction arts than Vegeta is? Who knows? And maybe they'll have Goku and Vegeta retreat for them to train further. because again, like I said, I really want to see that Super Saiyan Blue Ultra Instinct. That was cool. So I think they might have Vegeta train further with his God of Destruction stuff. I also think, because what's weird too is Vegeta and his evolved Blue beat God of Destruction Toppo in the anime, and that makes me question like how much stronger is Vegeta in his God of Destruction form, because he was keeping up with Granolah in his Blue evolved, but he's keeping up even better with the God of Destruction form. So maybe when they train again, they'll come back stronger than Granolah or more prepared to fight his powers.
That's most likely true, because really all they have to do is train the form a bit, and they'll be better able to use it. That has been the most common occurrence. It's just that it's weird to introduce it, and then like it worked until Sharingan Granolah stepped in, and then it's like it's not working now unless he suddenly changes tactics in a very significant way.
Yeah, Granolah's just like, you ever hear the manga Q? And Vegeta's like, what? I actually did not like the Naruto eyes. I never have, because I think it's just how Naruto played out. I'm not gonna jump into it. So seeing Granolah with eye powers, I think, is a little lame. But what's sad is it's new to Dragon Ball. I don't think there's ever been a villain who had eye magic before, so
hello.
It's new to...
Ya boy.
What was that?
Me, my paralysis move, ya boy.
Oh. Yeah.
But I mean, that's an exception, because it was more like... I guess they never really explain how Blue does that, but that's not an extension of his strength, per se.
Oh my good... Dude. First OG, man. Easily forgotten. I'm sorry.
I mean, hey, I'll give him some credit, at least totally not Mark when he did his Red Ribbon Saga review last week. Like, he at least put some respect on the OG army. I'll give him that much.
True. I'm not the biggest fan of Mark, but his Dragon Ball review was actually a lot better. I was like, all right, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know there's still people griping that Granolah has eye powers, and I kind of think to myself, I'm like, well, it's not eye powers isn't even like unique to Naruto, so it's like, so stop complaining. I think it's just they want to see Granolah lose, and he wished to be the strongest, and Vegeta has to win. And again, we'll wait till next chapter, because
I'm willing to
who
bet.
knows what's gonna happen.
I'm willing to bet that, like, the same camp of people who always argue that Baby was a sympathetic villain because, like, he was born of a dead race and he just wanted to get revenge on the Saiyans because that's what he had believed to do, they're gonna be the same people who are, like, laughing when Granolah gets clapped by Frieza or whoever in the future. Just call it a hunch.
If Frieza claps Granolah, I would be so... It would be illogical, or Frieza's just been training off screen doing a shitload of push-ups or something. But I would lose my shit, because Frieza dominating someone is always a treat.
I mean, realistically, it would probably have to be a cheap shot with the way the story's been going so far. Like, that's not terribly out of character for Frieza. He does like to revel in beating his opponents with brute force, but I mean, he will just... Like what he did with Frost, he got him off the stage when he wasn't expecting it.
Frieza was also torturing, like, weaker opponents in the Tournament of Power. He was just, like, torturing people.
Yeah,
there was, like, that one guy...
there was that one, like, psychic guy from U6 he was just toying around with, I think.
The Yardrat looking dude, where he, everyone was like, Frieza, don't kill him. He's like, oh, he's not dead on the ring. But if he falls out of the ring and dies, that's not my problem. I'm like, that is awesome.
Yeah, really.
If we see more of that, I think I'll be like, who knows? Overall, like, the overall chapter, I will say I think was not as good as last month's, but it wasn't horrible. People were, I think the people saying this is an unreadable garbage chapter or just whatever their theory prediction wasn't proven, so they're just mad about that, which pretty common occurrence in Dragon Ball, unfortunately, with the Dragon Ball fan base. But I'm not gonna really throw shade right there because I've done that before.
I mean, like, I'd be disappointed if this is just the same formula where Vegeta loses and Goku steps in, solves the problem. But I mean, I don't know. The arc's not nearly over, so I'm hoping that they do figure out a somewhat entertaining solution to this.
Hopeful. I've been trying. Like, I think it's better for us to hold faith out that the writers actually can wow us, because, like, you know, I think I've said this 100 times. The Mara arc ended up being a lot better in the long run than anyone gave it credit for. So,
which, that reminds me again, we still have that open plot thread with 7-3, so who knows how that's gonna come in.
another one. Yeah.
Is 7-3 going to body Granolah? Because, like,
Oh my
if Frieza
goodness.
can't do it without a cheap shot, but 7-3 gets, like, bioengineered to be an upgraded version, that could be like a technicality that surpasses his power boost, yeah.
Well, they could also have 7-3 copy his powers, and, like, they could have one of the Heeters infuse it to themselves like Moro did.
Probably.
Scratching my chin. Dang, I didn't... You just keep thinking of stuff I forgot about, because, like, I forgot they grabbed 7-3 at the beginning there, because I've been so focused on the fight between Granolah, Goku, and Vegeta that I haven't really been thinking about the other parts of that.
I mean, they haven't even mentioned it since, like, immediately after we met the Heeters. It just kind of popped in my mind, because I'm like, when you're mentioning how the Moro arc had its strengths, I'm thinking, yeah, the side characters fighting the minor villains and having a moment to show, and then I'm like, oh yeah, 7-3's a thing.
Don't worry, nobody will forgive you for forgetting about 7-3, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be people listening to this who go, huh?
Once again, he's the Bakura guy. He's just gonna hide in the background for, like, however many months until they need him for something.
Hello, Goku, and he's got, like, a fucking table with the hourglass and Yu-Gi-Oh deck ready.
Well, you know what, though? That kind of goes along with what I kept ranting and raving about in the Black arc, because, like, I think I mentioned this before, that part where, Black pulls out that weird energy scythe and makes, like, the space-time rift in the sky when he swings and misses at Vegeta, and he's talking about, like, I don't know where this power comes from, but it can lead to whole different universes, and they do absolutely nothing with that idea. Like, if this were a DC or a Marvel comic series, that would have immediately been the instance where he, like, jumps in the void and disappears to come back several times later with some kind of cosmic armor upgrade. So, I guess, is 7-3 gonna be freaking cosmic armor recurring threat? I don't know. Possible.
Cosmic armor Spider-Man Vegeta 7-3 shows up. I'm not very well versed in Marvel. I only keep up with Spider-Man, but I know what cosmic armor is because I've seen cosmic armor Spider-Man. It's like, wow, that looks cool.
Yeah, just like any figure of speech that any kind of, like, higher entity uses in those comics, basically.
Yeah, literally. All right, I think we should wrap up, just because, again, I got other things to do, but I'm glad we were able to get this episode done.
Yeah, I think this was a little bit shorter than our others, but that's okay. They don't all need to be an hour long, and I think that the chapter gave us some good ideas to play around with. It just sucks we gotta wait a little longer than a month to see where they're going, and that still depends on how much we even get next month.
Oh, Lord, I know. But next week, I would like to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a post I've made that I made a while back on King Cold that I want to elaborate on, because I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. And I want to talk about card game balance and, like, card game philosophy, because I played Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! I did not play the Dragon Ball card game, though. I tried it, but I remember buying a starter box, and then no one wanted to play, so I just, like, got rid of it. I just, like, gave it to a friend or something.
I got like a pack once as a joke. I think it was like a gift they were giving away at a program I worked with, and I don't know, I didn't really understand how to play it. You want to talk card games, though? When I was digging through my attic, I found this weird dropped card game I've never heard of, Weird and Wild Creatures, which I guess is basically the Pokemon card game with cryptids. I'll have to post photos of that later.
Yes, but thanks for watching, everyone. Sorry if this wasn't the most exciting episode, but next week we're going to be attempting to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic. I hope y'all will enjoy, and I hope everyone here enjoyed us rambling about the new chapter. Leave your opinions below, and we'll try to get back to y'all.
Yep, everybody have a good rest of your night. Thank you for joining, and we will be back next week. Take care.
Take care.